I saved the life of a monster. That's what keeps me up at night. 50 years later, his name was Sergeant Miller, and he wore the same uniform I did. He murdered innocent civilians in a Vietnamese village, and when he was dying in an ambush, I saved him. I've asked myself every day since, do you save a monster just because he asks on your side? My story starts in San Diego, California. 1968, I was 19. Son of a Baptist minister who preached mercy and compassion. Then my draft notice came. My father opposed the war but believed in serving when called. Keep your soul clean, son, he told me. Don't let them turn you into something you're not. I had no idea how hard that promise would be to keep. I arrived in Vietnam in September 1968, assigned to an infantry unit near the Cambodian border. My platoon sergeant was James Miller, on his third tour, hard and cold. He pulled me aside my first day. Out here, there's only one rule. Survive. Every Vietnamese is the enemy until proven otherwise. You trust them, you die. You hesitate, you die. I was naive enough to think I could survive this war and keep my soul intact. The jungle was hell. Triple canopy, rainforest, suffocating heat, leeches, snakes, and everywhere the invisible enemy. The Viet Cong were ghosts who hit us and vanished into tunnels. They used children as scouts, old women as spotters. The paranoia ate at us constantly. Miller's methods were brutal but kept us alive. They're all in on it, he'd say. Show mercy, you die. Drop survive in the comments if you've ever had to compromise your values just to make it through something. Hit subscribe because what comes next is the hardest part. 2 months in, we got orders to sweep villages suspected of harboring VC fighters. The first village was empty. Miller ordered us to burn it. The second village wasn't empty. About 30 people, mostly old men, women, and children. We searched every hut. Found nothing. No weapons. No evidence of VC activity. Miller had the villagers kneel in the center of the village. An old man spoke in broken English. No ube sere. Only farmers. Only family. Please, we no want trouble. Miller looked down at him and said, "You're lying." Then he shot him. Just shot him in the head. The village erupted in screams. Miller turned to us. These people are enemy combatants. We're eliminating the threat. He shot 2 more people that day. A woman who wouldn't stop screaming. A teenage boy who tried to run. Then he ordered us to burn the village. We did. We followed orders. We committed a war crime because we were more afraid of Miller than our own conscience. I watched those villagers flee with nothing. Their homes burning. I did nothing. That makes me guilty too. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing that old man's face. I wrote a letter to my commanding officer detailing what happened, describing the executions, naming witnesses. I planned to hand-deliver it after our next patrol. But another soldier warned me. You report Miller, you're dead. Accidents happen in the jungle. 3 days later, we went on patrol. Miller knew about my letter somehow. The way he looked at me had changed. Cold. Calculating. Then came the ambush. AK-47s from multiple positions. RPGs. Chaos. Half our unit was cut down in the first minute. We were in a kill zone, taking fire from 3 sides. Miller went down. Rounds stitched across his chest and abdomen. He fell behind a tree, bleeding fast. He was 15 feet from my position. I could reach him, maybe save him, but I didn't move. I thought about that old man in the village, about the woman and teenager. This was justice, wasn't it? All I had to do was nothing. Let Miller bleed out, and his crimes die with him. Then, sa made eye contact, and his face showed raw terror, the same look that old man had before Miller killed him. Miller's mouth formed words I barely heard. Help me, please. I made my choice. I broke cover, ran through incoming fire, grabbed Miller, and dragged him back. I worked on his wounds, trying to stop the bleeding. Stay with me, Sarge. You're gonna make it. A medevac came. Lodi Miller, and he survived. Got a Purple Heart and eventually a Bronze Star. A decorated hero who murdered civilians and got away with it because I saved his life. Thanks for staying with me. Make sure you're subscribed because you need to hear how this ends. I finished my tour and came home to an America that had turned against us. People spit at me in San Francisco, called me a baby killer. I couldn't face my father. I'd broken my promise. I drifted, drank to forget. The nightmares came every night, but they weren't about firefights. They were about that village, about watching Miller execute that old man, about doing nothing. The VA diagnosed me with PTSD in the 80s. It wasn't until the 90s that I found help through a veterans group. Guys carrying impossible weights, trying to figure out how to live with what we'd done. They didn't judge. They understood. Slowly, I started to heal. I learned something important. I didn't save Miller because he deserved it. I saved him because I needed to remain human. If I'd let him die, if I'd played God and decided who deserves to live, I would have become exactly what I hated about him. I would have let the war win. Saving Miller, as much as it disgusts me, saved me too. It kept my soul intact. Miller died in 2015. I saw his obituary. Loving husband, devoted father, decorated veteran. No mention of what he did in that village. No justice for his victims. Dad said me. He got away with it. Lived a normal life. Died peacefully, while his victims rotted in unmarked graves in the jungle. Where's the justice? But I've made peace with it, as much as anyone can. I volunteer now, working with veterans, dealing with moral injury. I tell them my story about Miller and the village and the choice I made. I tell them that keeping your humanity in war might be the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's the most important. Because if you lose that, you lose everything. I'm 75 now. The war was 50 years ago, but some days it feels like yesterday. I still see that old man's face. I still hear Miller begging for help. I still wonder if I made the right choice. Maybe there was no right choice. War puts you in situations where every option is wrong, and you pick the one you can live with. I chose to be the person who saves lives, even lives that didn't deserve saving. And I can live with that. Barely. But I can live with it. So have you ever had to choose between what's technically right and what feels just between following your values and getting the outcome you think the world deserves? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to this channel, because these stories need to be told. The moral complexity of war doesn't fit into neat narratives about heroes and villains. Thank you for listening. Thank you for not judging. And thank you for understanding that sometimes the right choice feels wrong for the rest of your life.